So here we are with one of the DBC presenters, and we have a series of interviews, and this is our second one, and we're here with Dr. MJ Bionaview. Thank you for allowing me for you to come to my home. I really appreciate it for this interview. No problem, anytime. So last year when you presented the DBC conference in Wisconsin, what did you present about? What were some of your major points, would you say? Okay. Well, really, we were discussing the theory behind bilingualism, and how being bilingual in the deaf world is different from being bilingual in the hearing world. So how does the mind work? How do people understand literacy and language? We really wanted to understand that. And some examples were at the Learning Center in Massachusetts and another deaf school. So when you first went to this DBC conference about a year ago, what did you think? Honestly, I was a little bit resistant. Everybody was kind of in an uproar, and I just felt stressed about everything that's going on at Gallaudet, and a bunch of uprisings, and I was like, whoa, I can't be involved in everything. It's just not humanly possible. So, so then some things happened, and about a year later, I really looked into DBC more, and I felt like in my heart it was the right choice for me to make. So at that time, I felt a little bit guilty about not getting into it beforehand. So when you went to the DBC conference last year, in Wisconsin, what was your experience? My experience was so positive. Oh my gosh. I mean, so I look back and thinking about all the socialization and the support that was there, and how everybody there really supported deaf rights for children, for rights for deaf children. And I think we tend to become kind of aggressive in how we lobby and support the things that we love. So I just didn't want to see that. There were so many different people and different experiences. And every day it was meeting new people, and I so enjoyed it. I went home and I was just thinking about it so much. It was a wonderful experience. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. So what kind of things can people do to make DBC successful and kind of on the rise? Well, one of the things is exactly what you're doing right now. All these interviews and covering the main points. I mean, to be honest, I used to never watch blogs. I just hear so many negative things, and I'm like, what's up with all this negativity? I mean, I didn't understand it, and I didn't like watching it. And then when I suddenly heard that some vlogs could be positive, I really wanted to focus on that. It's a better perspective to have. So when I understood the final point and the message of the workshops, I really understood how positive it was. And it was kind of all this chatter about how things were really negative, and so I wanted to see for myself. I thought the less I know, the better. And then once I understood and I kind of did my research, I realized that it was good. Do you have any concerns for deaf children in the future? Oh, of course I do. I mean, that's simple. Most of my concerns are about parents who are misinformed about their children. They think deaf means all these bad things. They hear this, 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 and it's really not like that. I mean, look at you, look at me. We can communicate, we can chat, we socialize, we have an awesome life, awesome family. It's not a problem. And I think there's so much pressure about having to change, to be a different person if you're deaf. And so when, a deaf child is born, they can socialize with deaf people and they can learn how to read. I mean, it's really an issue of the mind. So when you're 30, 40, 50 years old, you see those people that have the misinformed perceptions. So yeah, I see that the reading is at a different level, but I look and I see that hearing really have like a 5th grade reading level. But all over, it's just a little different. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. So comparing native language skills, you just can't do that with English, with hearing people, and sign for deaf people. It's really different. The concern is more about literacy these days. And about 80% in the US in general can't read. That's 39%. So you can't blame it on the deaf people. I mean, it's more than just a hearing or not hearing issue. Yeah, I agree. So there's a lot of talk about DBC being partnered with other agencies or not. What do you think? I can't really discuss that yet because I haven't read too much about it and it's pretty complicated. But it's a process. That's all I can say. The issue, it's really about yourself. You need to figure out your own identity and work for the rights of deaf children with sign language. In the past, people, I mean, what did they do? I worked at Gallaudet. I worked in different places. So working with deaf people, it can be successful to work for deaf rights and for deaf people themselves. And hearing people take advantage. You can see a long time ago about fighting and the king. You know, in countries, the king will just sit and leave all the work for the other people. That's what it's like. It's really comparable to the hearing world and the deaf world, where the hearing people just oppress deaf people and take a step back and let the deaf people do all the work. And it's really time for that to be finished. And it's really more a process, and I've been reading about it, and that's my opinion on it. So people kind of go all around about it's really an issue of hot debate, whether they should partner or stay apart. I mean, it's a book. You can't discuss that. The Bible or anything like that. Do you understand? It's just, I mean, you can't interpret it into a different language. It's just not possible. How do you compare the two things? They're really not comparable. That's what I think. Yeah. So when it comes to children, if the kids want ASL, but the parents say no, who has the right? Who kind of should be on top? This is a really good question. In American culture, the view is that the parents have all the rights over their kids. But if the children see and get all these different experiences, they can really live a successful life. So the parents are really misinformed. If the parents just say no right off the bat, I mean, it's going to do less damage to their kids. I mean, all medical training is not for deaf. I mean, medical personnel have zero idea about deaf people. It's not even in their training. So deaf family, they ask me so many questions. And so when I go to teach, the parents so often just don't have a clue. So I try to clarify and make it understood that we need more partnerships and more connection and more really critical thinking and analysis around the situation. So it's different. English is being pressed more than before. So it's worth thinking about.